Alright. Yeah, I'm going to explain on this video why I have changed mains and arguably went from a better class to a worse class. So, before this, if you look at a couple of the first videos, I was main in Mage. And I played all 3 specs of mains. I've got all Covenants up to 80, so that includes Necro, which is arguably the worst of the 3. That's usually the one that if someone wants to play all 3, you don't need Necro, I would say, because you got Kyrian for Arcane, you got Night Fae for Fire and Frost and M+, and then you also got Venthyr for Fire and Frost. So yeah, I swapped over for it, and I think my big thing that I want to say before all this is that I will, at this patch in 9.2, I'm going to be pushing, trying to get all the range classes up to a certain point. So that means my Priest, Shaman, Druid, Mage, Warlock, and Hunter. My Hunter, as you can see, it's an old one, but I will be getting that to 60. And I want to get 1500 rating. And then on my main, I will be pushing more, whether that be healing or DPS. I'm not quite sure yet, but that is the plan. Now, the reason I swapped over from Mage to Priest is because I miss playing Affliction Warlock. And I know that sounds weird, but Affliction Warlock was the class that I wanted to play the most when it came to Mythic Plus back in BFA when I started really getting into the game. But it just wasn't a good place, so I jumped around, played a bunch of other classes a bunch of different ways. But that is what I love. I love the 3 dot class in the sense of you have 2 dots, and it felt like 3 was like a happy number. I played Druid back when Convokes the Spirits was the main thing in Castlanathia, but I did not like that. It was very boring. I found it really just dull the entire time. I did good numbers, but that was the thing, and that's mainly what came back around with the Mage, is I'm finding it dull again. I just don't enjoy it, but also I wanted to go back to healing. I used to heal, then it's not on the channel or anything, but I used to heal on my old Paladin. I've healed on the Priest and the Paladin before, in Mythic, back in Nyalotha, and those were really good patches. And yeah, so that's the main reason. That's the first reason that got me into thinking about what class I want to play 9-2 as a healer DPS option. So the options really were Druid, Shaman, Priest. Now Druid was out the window because I hate playing balance, and I only really play ranges now. Shaman, I really like both specs of Shaman, but I came back to the Priest because I like both the healer classes. It seemed really interesting, and it seems like there's a lot to do. This Priest is not in a good spot compare to Holy for the type of content that I do, but it feels like if I wanted to, or the guild asked me, I would play it more. But the main reason that I got bored of the Mage is that all the talents with your conduits are very set in stone for the most part. There's a couple things here and there, but they're very rare that you change. Where the Priest in Mythic Plus, I changed my talents a lot, and that really changes up how I want to play. In Raiding, it changes as well. In PvP, it changes as well. And I'm getting into PvP, like you haven't seen it on the channel, but I've been playing my Shaman. I want to see what the difference is between PvE and PvP gearing up and playing the game. So far, I've enjoyed PvP more. I got invited to this random guild. It was actually, that's a whole nother story I'll explain. But it really comes down to that, is that I was getting bored, and the Priest has got a lot of opportunities in the next patch. Now give me 1 second. Alright, so to start this all off, you need to look at the tier sets. So the Disc Priest one, tier set is interesting. It seems like it helps a big problem that Shadow Men is like an instant heal button, which is quite powerful for Priest, and that's good. And the second, well, Discipline is not the one I've looked at the most, but it seems interesting at least. It seems like there's a lot to do, and it won't really change much looking at the legendaries that Disc Priests have got. It's very much Kyrian seems really good with the transfer. Night Fae, if you need more of your main CD, I'm guessing. But it's like it's very simple. It more or less stays the same when you play Clarity of Mind on top of Cipher and Harmony. So very simple, and then you play Twist of Fate if you've been asked to. So that seems pretty much like there's not much changing with it, which is not a bad thing. I'm not saying that every class needs something to go into, but it needs to change that. Like, but having like at least an interesting legendaries is something that I've missed with the mage, because you play one legendary. Like there's 3 legendaries you make for Frost. 2 of them are unnecessary. But anyway, going on to the next class, which is Holy. Holy is a class that I played in also at the very, very start of 9.1 before I changed guild and went to Boomkin. But I've got the tier set isn't more CDR, so it works well with Harmony Apparatus, I think. And then Flash Concentration, I really like how it plays. I'm looking forward to play it some more in Mythic Plus. And then with some tier sets you might this might be interesting considering how they've changed some of the talents recently. But more or less it's the same. You play Kyrian, you play Venti, like you've got the options for a lot. Play Night Fae if you want to load more. Now playing playing Shadow Priest is the one that I'm interested in most. There's going to be 3 legendaries I believe you're going to make now, excluding 3 legendaries that you want to make because of the tier set. Now look at the tier set first. It's that your Devouring Plague and Dark Thoughts. Devouring Plagues has a 40% chance to grant Dark Thoughts. Now Mind Blast has just got a lot more value out of your 2 set, and the 2 set is much more attainable, so it'll be earlier on in the patch I'll get it, or other priests will get it. And then causing Dark Thoughts, which are going to happen more often, deals damage to other enemies. So now all of a sudden, the AoE potential of Shadow, well, the funnel has got better, but also with some of the talents, it's become more of a better class in Mythic Plus and single target. So get rid of these because these are mathing. So this math thought process now is that Shadow Flame Prism, still a strong legendary if you're not playing Necro, and if you are playing Necro now, I forgot. But then also this legendary, I can't Talbot Stratagem seems really interesting for that single target split cleave with the other talent, Psychic Mime, I think it is. It's in the 40 row or the 35 row. It's the second to bottom row, third to bottom row. Because now all of a sudden your Mind Blast doing more damage on that single target. On top of your Mind Blast doing more damage, you get more Mind Blast free procs from Mind Blast, from Dark Thoughts. Top of Night Fae now being in that window more, you might change trinkets out of the 2 minute, or you might be more like Arcane Mages, where you got like that minute burst profile. Except for Void Torrent is much more stronger than Touch of the Magi, and it's more consistent. So now you've got 3 legendaries that you might play. Shadow Prism, the Talbot Stratagem, I think I'm probably saying this wrong, and then also just of Sun Priest, if you've been asked to, you know. That's the problem with priest personally. That's something that just needs to happen. So those are the 3 you're probably going to make, excluding obviously your legendary one. And that's the real reason, is the flexibility of priest is so much stronger and better. You play so many different ways that I could see myself. I need to level up other covenants. Like I'm going to do a big stream, probably the week or 2 before the week that it gets announced. Leveling up the last of my covenants, because so far I've got most Necro completely, Night Fae completely, a bit of Venti and a bit of Kieran. But this is all going to change. Like that, you're going to see way more Night Fae once they get their 2 sets and their 4 sets for Mythic Plus. But there's a chance that Kieran single target is going to be better. Necro is going to be the whenever, and then Venti I think is PvP. which I'm going to start getting into, because I want to level up all the covenants. But that's the main thing that I've... keep on going into OBS when I don't mean to. But that's the main thing that I'm enjoying about Priest, is the options, and that's just like purely out of one spec in a class. I've got more legendaries to make, more different, and they're vastly different playstyles. Like Necro is very different from Night Fae, and you play different trinkets. Kyrian is completely different from both of them. Venti is probably the boring out of all of them, but PvP has got an interesting interaction, and that's the thing. And that's why I went over to it. There's more to do, and there's like, that's not even getting into how healing's going to be. So yeah, that's like the overall reasons why I've done this, is I wanted to have more interest in, and I was getting very bored with mage. Like, I've done the higher keys on the mage. I think if I really pushed myself, I put as much time as I'd put into, if I didn't make the priest like change over, I could have been doing low 20 keys, I think, comfortably on the mage, but I didn't. So yeah, that's the plan, that's why I swapped. But also the plan is 10 more levels, going to get into Hunter, and then when the patch hit, I'm going to do all the classes. I'm going to do a big Torghast stream where I do Covenants on this guy, Covenants for this guy for PvP. Sadly, I'm going to do this because I want to be able to play it. This guy is pretty set, I don't need to do Covenants luckily, and then this guy is the last one, and then obviously the Hunter. So yeah, I'm playing the Priest for the options of change of class and change of play, even if it's not as good. But I also want to get better at it, so it doesn't matter if the classes are good, I'm in a better position. So yeah, that's the video. I've recorded this already once, so hopefully this doesn't mess up and not work. But I hope you enjoy it. I will see you guys probably later this week with some streams, and take it easy. Goodbye.